Hey guys, quick lesson today. We are going to look at why She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult is not only a rocking tune, but can also teach us a great deal in terms of composing our own music and our guitar riffs. So in this guitar lesson on The Cult's famous She Sells Sanctuary, it isn't going to be your standard one. There's millions of people that can teach you much better than I how to play it on guitar. They know all the theory, I know nothing, and I apologize for that, not really. But what I think is very interesting and what we will quickly be looking at is why the melody and the guitar parts work so well in this track, and also how you can use the same tools to create and inspire you to maybe get your own songs going. And if you're a beginner or maybe stuck in a rut, and we've all been there, I think just keeping it simple like this track is an incredible way to get those creative juices flowing. So firstly, let's take a look at the main melody and riff of the song. It's played on the G string, but what you'll notice is what really brings it together is the droning on the D string. So it goes. So that's essentially it, right? Then there's various variations, which he does during the song. So he goes from something along those lines. Now, I'm not doing it for notes because that's not the point. But this melody is essentially our first lesson. This riff is played in the intro in some variation or other, in the verse, in the pre-chorus, throughout the whole song. And this is a very important technique. You will see bands like The Doors used it before. You'll see Jane's Addiction. Lots of bands used it before and used it after The Cult. And what this does is it drags you into the song immediately with the melody. But the repeating droning pattern does something very special. And what it does is, once you've been dragged into the melody, it keeps you in there. So it keeps your attention in the song, and it creates the atmosphere, which then will allow you to get the feelings, get the emotions, and transport yourself into the music. So once you've been dragged into the song, the droning, especially the rhythmic droning of that, will keep you focused on what's going on, but at the same time will keep you in the mood of the song. And that's something very, very important when you're trying to get across some emotions. Let's move on to the basic rhythm section and the chords used. So when Ian starts singing in a very Jim Morrison maybe type way, I love that about Ian, by the way, the chords are incredibly simple. And again, they remind you of the main melody. So again, I'm not being precise, but essentially it's something along the lines of very simple, incredibly simple. Now you can play that in all different positions, power chords, etc. What's really important, and this is our second point, is that in order to create space for the vocal melody, what Billy does is he hangs back and locks in with the rhythm section, so the drum and bass. But whilst he's doing that, as you will notice, the notes are all more or less the same, is he keeps that familiar sounding part of the song, so the repeating part, but he adds a bit of rhythm, contrast, and a bit more attitude to back up Ian on vocals. So that is an incredibly cool trick, because what you're doing is not taking center stage, but you're enhancing someone else's work, whether it's a singer or a lead guitarist, or whatever it is, with though attitude, while adding a bit of swag and a bit of rhythm to the parts. So really, these are the two very simple points that I wanted to talk about. And what I find very interesting is that if you take these points separately and kind of start playing around with them, I find it incredibly inspiring, especially if you are in a rut or a beginner and don't know where to start. So it's very, very simple. You take the same notes, get a different rhythm, but keep that droning open string going. You can come up with some really cool guitar parts. So, for example, and you don't necessarily, by the way, have to keep the same strings. The droning is a very good tool to play on whatever string you want, whatever melody, so play it on different strings. You can see that can take you a long way. Second part that we were referring to before, the main rhythm section, for example, in a song. Keep it simple. You don't have to do massive breakdowns. You don't have to do big choruses, big breakdowns. If you want to keep the listener in it and create that atmosphere, you can also just keep it very simple with a rhythm that creates space, but also will remind the listener of the original melody. So, like Billy does, you can do it whatever power chord you want as a beginner, or keep it simple. As a composer, as someone who's looking to create guitar parts or just music parts in general, what is really fascinating, I find, with this, and what can help you, hopefully, in your own composition, is that it creates that contrast, but it also reinforces the song. So it's very simple, it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but keep the groove going. So like a train, you don't want to stop it because you're going to lose some of the atmosphere if you stop it. So a very, very simple piece of rhythm guitar like that is fantastic, and Billy Duffy is known for that. The other very useful technique I find here is to actually scale it back. It's very simple, and I'm really guilty of this with my own releases and songs I've produced, to try to overly complicate things, but don't overcrowd. That's the point. It can be musically interesting, but what will really stick with someone is the emotion. But the emotion can get lost if you overcrowd something with different parts, different songs, etc. So I find that this is a perfect example, very inspiring. I really would suggest to play around with the drone lyrics, because whatever music, even if you do deathcore, it's really cool. It can sound very evil as well. It's a perfect way to, as an intro, because you build that tension. And keep the rhythm simple but locked in. So that's it, guys. Two very small reflections. We're not talking rocket science, but sometimes it's interesting to talk about these things. So if you enjoyed the video, click wherever you want, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. And make sure to check out some of my other gear reviews and more lessons coming your way. Bam.